guys, welcome to HiromiVoice in English. Today, I'd like to talk about something very familiar in Japan, yet is undergoing changes in modern times. Can you guess what? It is alcohol. We call it osake. In Japan, alcohol is very close to everyday life. It's really. You can buy it almost everywhere. Also, you used to be able to buy them from vending machines. But you cannot anymore though. Recently, I feel that the way people think about alcohol is changing. Especially among younger generations, drinking is not as automatic as it used to be. So today, I want to talk about two things. First, why alcohol has been such a familiar part of Japanese culture. Why is that? Second, why more people in Japan are starting to drink less, or choosing not to drink at all. But remember, this is not a video to criticize people who drink, and it is not a video to tell everyone to stop drinking. Okay? It is more like how Japanese society is slowly changing from drinking as a social expectation to drinking or not drinking as a personal choice. So first, let's begin with how close alcohol is to everyday life in Japan. If you visit Japan, you might notice that alcohol is very easy to find. It's really, really easy. You don't need to go to a special liquor store. You can buy alcohol at convenience stores, supermarkets, drugstores, and many local shops. And you might be surprised because they have lots of variety, like seasonal, regional, something like that. A very strong one or light one, or I cannot count up the varieties. They have lots of varieties. You can also see this in the number of izakaya. Have you ever heard of izakaya? Izakaya is casual Japanese style pub where people drink and eat together. Alone is fine, of course. They are everywhere. Near train stations, in business districts, in local neighborhoods, and even small towns, rural areas. For many people, izakaya are not just places to drink. They are places to relax after work, talk with friends or your colleagues, eat dishes, and spend time with others. It often happens like if you go to izakaya alone or with your friends, whichever, drinking make people drunk, right? And as might you know, Japanese people is shy, But once drunk, most of people are getting more friendly. So izakaya, it could be a place to get know each other, to people who don't know. You just met the day like that. Yeah, and in Japan, drinking is not limited to bars or restaurants. At park, drinking, driving, walking, festivals, anytime is okay, mostly. Of course, it depends on the atmosphere though. But compared to some countries, drinking outside can feel more accepted in Japan. It is like 10 years ago, I lived in the US for several months for study. I found that it is not accepted. It is not accepted to have alcohol in my car. I don't even drink, of course, but once you have alcohol in your car, in my car, it might be arrested to think that this is what I heard in those days. So I thought it is more strict to treat alcohol than Japan. Alright, so of course, after drink you cannot not drive in Japan, so it's strict, but drinking outside is more acceptable, I think, than other countries. So why has alcohol become such as a familiar part of Japanese life? Why is that? I think one reason is that in Japan, alcohol was never just alcohol. It was connected to culture, ritual, seasons, food, work, and relationships. First, alcohol has a long connection with traditional ritual and festivals. In Japan, there is something called omiki. Omiki means alcohol. We call it osake, but omiki is a more special one. Omiki is a sacred sake offered to the gods at shrines. You may see it during festivals, New Year celebrations, traditional events. You may see it during festivals, New Year celebrations, weddings, groundbreaking ceremonies, or other traditional events. So, in Japanese culture, alcohol was not only something people drank for fun. It could also be something sacred, something offered to the gods, something shared during important moments. For example, this is what I heard just a few days ago with my friend. She is living in a kind of secret place in Japan because the big shrine is near her station. That's why she is familiar with God stories, and she has experiences some big shrines in Japan. And one day a guy cut a big tree because it's not necessary, right? And it's kind of for people, around people. He cut it. After that, he got sick, very heavy sick. Like he lost his conscious, and he saw a doctor, of course, and he spent many hours in hospital, like ICU. And his wife are so sad and very worried about him. So she decided to go to that shrine, the big one. And the owner of shrine told her that you should bring this omiki and keep this tree, this omiki. Omiki is alcohol, right? And she did it. After that, her husband, the guy, woke up and he got recovered. Everyone was surprised, and he could walk as used to be. This is the story that I just heard a few days ago. Like this, omiki, alcohol, is used to treat the environment or treat God's kingdom. So listen to this story, you might think omiki is more sacred thing. That means sake is more a spiritual thing. Okay, this is the first reason why alcohol becomes such a familiar part of Japanese life. Another reason is rice culture. Japanese sake is made from rice, and rice has been at the center of Japanese life for a very long time. Rice was not only food, it was connected to farming seasons, harvests, villages, and community life. So sake naturally became connected to those things too. When people celebrated to harvest, gathered for a festival, or prayed for a good year, alcohol was often there. In that sense, drinking culture in Japan did not start only from nightlife or parties. It came from a much older connection between race, nature, community, and celebration, and like praying. Alcohol also became a way to create a shared atmosphere. It's close to izakaya, right? In Japan, people don't always express their true feelings directly, so drinking sometimes helped people relax, talk more openly, and feel closer to each other. This was especially true in work culture. After work, drinking used to be a big part of company life. There were welcome parties, farewell parties, year-end parties, and casual drinks with coworkers. There is even a word called nominication. It means communication through drinking. The idea was that people could build relationships by drinking together, And of course, izakaya culture made alcohol even more familiar. Izakaya are everywhere in Japan, as I told you earlier. They are cultural places where people eat, drink, talk, and relax together. So, when you put all of this together, alcohol became deeply connected to Japanese everyday life. But now, this culture is slowly or rapidly changing. Of course, alcohol is still part of Japanese life, but the feeling of you should drink is becoming weaker. Especially among younger generations, drinking is becoming less of a social requirement and more of a personal choice. In the past, when people wanted to meet at night, the most common choice was often an izakaya. Drinking was almost connected to relaxing. After work, people would drink, talk, eat a little, let the day become a little away. But recently, I feel that more people want to use their time differently. After work, they do not always want to drink and lose the rest of the evening. They may want to protect their time. They may want to protect that time as their own. Some people work on the side business. Some people study. Some people go to the gym. Some people enjoy hobbies. Some people edit video, make art, read books, or simply clean their own rooms. Like this. There are also made videos online about enjoying your alone time. Or how about your countries? For example, night routines, solo dates, quiet evenings, productive after work routine, or spending time alone at home, something like that. I think this shows a change in values. More people are starting to feel that free time is precious. So instead of drinking and letting the night pass by, they want to spend that time more intentionally. Also, there are many places where people can have fun without drinking. Cafes, night cafes, saunas, movies, karaoke, gyms, live events, exhibitions, shopping, gaming, streaming, or just stay home. And with more non-alcohol and low-alcohol drinks, people can still enjoy the atmosphere without getting drunk. I think that is a very good thing. So, alcohol is no longer the only way to relax, connect, or reward yourself after a long day. For some people, not drinking is not about being boring. It is about choosing how they want to spend their body, their mind, and their time. I think that is a very modern change. Another reason is that people are starting to respect personal choices most. Another reason is that people are starting to respect personal choices more. In the past, there was often a strong pressure to fit in. If everyone was drinking, it could feel difficult to be the only person who said no. Some people didn't want to drink, but they still joined because they didn't want to make their atmosphere awkward. This is weird, right? Some people needed an excuse, like, I'm driving today. I'm taking medicine. I have to wake up early tomorrow because of the kids, like that. Just saying, I don't drink was not always easy, But recently, I feel that this is slowly changing. More people are starting to drink. You don't have to do the same thing as everyone else. You can choose what feels right for you. You can take care of yourself, your own body and your mind, your own boundaries. Like this. This may be connected to the idea of the diversity. Not only diversity in a big social sense, but also diversity in everyday choices. Not only diversity in a big social sense, but also diversity in everyday choices. And all of these choices can exist in the same space. And all of these choices can exist in the same spaces. I think this is an important change, because the real problem was not alcohol itself. The problem was the pressure around alcohol. The feeling that you have to drink to belong, the feeling that you have to join to be accepted, the feeling that saying no made you difficult or unfriendly. But now, I don't drink. 私は飲みません。私は飲まない。私飲まないんだ。Which means I don't drink. Is slowly becoming enough. Not slowly, it's enough. You don't always need a special reason. You don't need to explain your body, your health, your plans, or your personality. You can simply choose, and I think that makes drinking culture a little kinder. Not because everyone stops drinking, but because people can stay connected without forcing themselves to be the same. Alright, so as I told you earlier, Japan's drinking culture is not disappearing. Alcohol is still very close to everyday life in Japan. Many people still enjoy it, and that is totally okay. But I feel that the meaning of drinking is changing. That is also good. It used to be more connected to fitting in, work relationships, and social expectations. Now it is becoming more about personal choice. You can drink, you don't have to do that, and either way you should still belong. Like this. Maybe this is not the end of Japan's drinking culture. Maybe it is just becoming more flexible, more personal, and a little kind. What is drinking culture like in your country? Is it easy to say no to alcohol? I don't drink. 私は飲みません. Thank you so much for listening tonight as well. I hope you guys have a peaceful day or night whenever you are. See you in the next video. おやすみなさい. Hi, hello everyone. Thank you so much for coming to Hiromi Voice in English. I am very glad to meet you again. So today, I'd like to talk about dating in Japan. More specific, I'd like to talk about why dating in Japan feels so different or unique. When people from other countries talk about dating in Japan, they often say things like, Japanese people are too shy. Japanese couples do not show much affection. Dating in Japan feels unclear. Or Japanese relationships seem very different from what I'm used to. And understand why people may feel like that. But I do not think this is simply because Japanese people are cold. No, they are not. Or because they not do love deeply. No, they do love deeply. I think it is more about how relationships are defined, how feelings are expressed, and how much emotional and physical distance people are used to. Of course, Japan is not one single dating style. It depends on the person, of course, and it depends on generation, the religion, the family, and the relationship itself. So today, I'm not saying all Japanese couples are like this. I'm just sharing some common patterns that many people may notice when they look at dating in Japan. And I will also share some of my own personal impressions. So, let's begin. Number 1. Have you ever heard this word? 告白. 告白. Relationships often become clear through 告白. One of the most famous parts of Japanese dating culture is 告白. 告白 means confessing your feelings. I like you. I want to know about you more closely, or I want to go out with you, or something like that. In many cases, a relationship in Japan officially begins when one person clearly says something like, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend? Or I like you. Will you be my boyfriend? I have said these words many times in the past. And if the other person says, yes, of course, yes, I'd love to, something like that, then the relationship becomes clear and begin. How about your country? Before that, even if two people go out together, text each other, or spend time together, some people may still feel that the relationship is not official yet. So in case they haven't hugged, kissed, or something like that yet. After kokuhaku, we do that. Not everyone though, but most people do that. Yes. This can feel very different from some cultures, of course, where people go on dates, spend time together, kiss, meet each other's friends, and slowly become a couple without clearly saying, "We are now together." In Japan, many people still like to have a clear starting point. It is not always romantic or dramatic, like in anime or dramas or movies. Sometimes it is very simple. Someone may say, "I like you, please go out with me." In Japanese, we often say, 好きです、付き合ってください. I like you, 好きです、付き合ってください. Will you be my boyfriend? Will you go out with me? Like this. Maybe some people have heard this 好きです、付き合ってください phrase in cartoons or animes. This phrase is the typical kokuhaku in Japan. It sounds very direct, but in Japanese dating culture, this kind of direct confession can actually make things easier. It gives both people a clear understanding. Are we just friends? Are we dating? Are we officially a couple? Kokuhaku answers these questions. Of course, not everyone does this. Some adults' relationship begin more naturally. No kokuhaku is also exist. But still, the idea of making a relationship clear is very, very familiar in Japan. And interestingly, this also connects to breaking up. We do kokuhaku. Like, it's not different from a kind of kokuhaku. We don't have the words about breaking up confession, but we do say directly, we need to break up. I want to break up with you. I'm sorry, like that. Yes. Of course, ghosts exist in Japan too. You know what I mean? Some people disappear, just disappear. Some people stop replying. That happens. But traditionally, if you want to end a relationship, many people feel that you should say it directly. You should tell the person, I want to break up. 別れたいと思ってる. I think I want to break up with you. So in Japan, both the beginning and the ending of a relationship are often marked by words. It's very clear. The relationship begins with a confession, and it often ends with a clear conversation. This does not mean Japanese dating is always clear or easy. But compared to some cultures, there is often a stronger idea that the relationship should be defined. What do you think? Perhaps your country is the same or totally different. Number 2, love is often expressed quietly. You know what I mean? Another big difference is how love is expressed. In Japan, many couples do not say, I love you so much, I love you, blah blah blah, every single day. Actually, some people really say it. At all, in Japanese, I love you is 愛してます、愛してるよ, but 愛してる feels very strong. For many Japanese people, it can sound too dramatic for everyday life. So instead of saying I love you all the time, people may say softer words like I like you, 好きだよ, I like you so much, 大好きだよ. I feel calm when I'm with you, when I'm with you. Or just thank you every day, thank you today too. Or sometimes they may not say much at all. This can be surprising for people from other cultures where couples say I love you every day or where verbal affection is very important. I do very focusing on verbal expressions too, though. But in Japan, love is often expressed in a quieter way. What kind of the way? For many people, love is shown through actions. For example, keeping promises, showing up on time, remembering small details, helping when the other person is tired, bringing them something like tea, listening quietly, or simply staying consistent. These things may not look dramatic, but for many Japanese people, they can feel very meaningful. Of course, ideally, expressing love through words as well as action is the best. But as you know, Japanese people are shy. Too shy, most Japanese people are, and find it difficult to say. So, in Japanese dating, love is often quiet. In short, in Japan there is a tendency to value being sincere towards your partner more than expressing your love in words. Got it? I think both are important. It is not loud, it is not always verbal, it is not always dramatic at all, but that does not mean there is no love. However, I also want to be honest. This quiet style has both good and difficult sides. Some people feel very safe with this kind of love. They feel loved through stability and consistency. But other people may feel lonely. They may think, why does not my partner say I love you, though I say I love you? Why don't they express their feelings more? Do they really care about me? So this quiet affection can be beautiful, maybe, and its action is the most important, I think, but it can be also confusing. Especially if you are used to more direct affection, Japanese dating may feel a little distant at first. Number 3. Romance is often treated as something private. This also connects to public displays of affection. In Japan, romance is often treated as something private. Holding hands is common, but kissing in public is still not very common in Japan. Hugging passionately in public is also not very common. Of course, you may see it sometimes, especially among younger people or in big cities. But compared to some countries, Japanese couples are usually more modest in public. This is not always because people are ashamed of love. This is more about the idea of standing out too much. Many Japanese people are very aware of the people around them. They may think, is this place appropriate? Are we making other people uncomfortable? Are people looking at us? So even in romantic relationships, people often think about the atmosphere around them. In Japan, love may be strong, but it is often expressed privately. A couple may be close when they are alone, but in public, they may look quiet, calm. But in public, they may look quite calm. This can sometimes confuse people from other countries or cultures. They may think, are they really a couple? But in Japan, a calm public attitude does not always mean a relationship is cold. It may simply mean that the couple separates private affection from public behavior. That's true, yes. Number 4, meeting the parents can feel very serious. Another important point is meeting the parents. In some countries, introducing your boyfriend or girlfriend to your family can be quite casual or normal. You may bring your partner to a family dinner, a birthday party, or holiday gathering without thinking too deeply about it. But in Japan, meeting the parents often feels more serious. For many people, introducing a partner to their parents means this relationship is really serious. Or we may be thinking about marriage. Of course, it depends on the family. Some families are very relaxed. Some people introduce their parents early. Some parents are friendly and casual. But in general, many Japanese people do not introduce every boyfriend or girlfriend to their parents. Especially as adults, meeting the parents can feel like one step closer to marriage. So, if a Japanese person says, I want you to meet my parents, 両親に会わせたいんだけど, it may carry a lot of meaning. It may not always mean, let's get married soon, but it often means I see this relationship as serious. This is one reason why some Japanese people may be careful about bringing a partner home. They may not want their parents to ask too many questions. They may not want the relationship to become too serious too quickly. Or they may feel that introducing someone to the family creates a certain responsibility. So in Japan, meeting the parents is often not just a casual event. It can be a sign that the relationship has entered a more serious stage. It depends on the people though, but yeah. So, here is the idea. If you have Japanese girlfriend or boyfriend, you want to get married with them, but he or she does not look like that. You are like upset kind of. Then you can suggest them, I think I want you to introduce my parents, or I want no. So you can bring them the suggestion or proposal, like, I want to introduce you to my parents, and I want you to introduce me to your parents. How about this? Do you like that? We can ask this. And after that, their facial expressions, you can see how he or she thinks the relationship. Maybe, yes, it works a little bit. Okay, number 5. Dating does not always mean contact texting. Another difference is communication frequency. Japan is sometimes compared with Korea when people talk about dating culture. We are next countries, right? And we are Asian. But I think the style of dating or relationship is totally different. In Korea, people often talk about couples texting very often. Is it true? Calling each other and staying closely connected throughout the day. Of course, I'm not Korean, so I cannot speak deeply about Korean dating culture. But from what is often discussed, Korean couples are sometimes seen as having more frequent communication. Japan can feel a little different. Of course, it depends on the couple. Some Japanese couples text many times a day, like a Korean. Some people want good morning messages, good night messages, and frequent updates. But culturally, I do not think there is a very strong idea in Japan that couples must stay connected all day long. Many people may send just a few messages a day, especially when they are working, studying, spending with friends, or simply focusing on their own life. Some people may not reply for several hours, and it does not always mean something is wrong. For some people, this can feel distant. If you come from a culture where couples text very often, you may wonder, are they not interested in me? Are they too cold? Is he dating with some other girl or something like that? But in many Japanese relationships, fewer messages do not always mean less affection. Sometimes it simply means that both people are giving each other space. For some Japanese people, a relationship does not have to mean constant communication. You can care about somebody deeply and still have your own time. You can love somebody and still not text them all day. So, in Japanese dating, love does not always appear as constant messages. Sometimes it appears as trust. The trust that even if you are not talking every minute, the relationship is still here. Number 6. Personal space is becoming more important. In recent years, I also feel that personal space has become more important in Japan. Many people value their private time, work, hobbies, friendships, family, rest, and personal routines are all important. So dating does not always mean spending all your free time together. Some people want a romantic relationship, of course, but they also want to keep their own life. This may be especially true for adults who are busy with work, family, or personal goals. In Japan, many people are very tired from work. Some people have long working hours. Some people need time alone to recover. So even if they love someone, they may still need personal space. This can sometimes look distant, but for many people, it is not about rejecting the partner. This is about keeping a balance. I think this is becoming more common. A romantic relationship is important, but it is not always the center of everything. Some people want to love, but they also want independence. They want to be close, but not completely lose themselves in the relationship. So Japanese dating can sometimes have a calmer distance. Not because people are less serious, but because respecting each other's time and space can also be part of the partnership. Number 7. Reading the ear affects dating too. Do you remember when I mentioned to unknown Japanese people like that? I told you that we do reading the ear. This means reading the room, like reading the atmosphere. This affects the dating too. In Japan, people often try to understand feelings through atmosphere, timing, physical expressions, silence, and small actions. This happens not only in dating, but also in friendships, family, school, and work. People may not always say everything directly. Instead, they may expect others to notice. And this affects romantic relationships too. In dating, some people may not say their feelings very clearly. For example, instead of saying, "I feel lonely," "I want more affection," I'm happy, I'm not happy about this," "I need you to change this," "I want to talk with you about this, we need to fix it." Some people may keep those things inside for a while. It's not good. It's gonna be a problem, right? Or fight. They may hope the other person notice this. They may think, if they really care about me, really care about me, they should notice. Oh my god, that is tough one, so bad. Right? Or someone may think that I do not want to make the atmosphere heavy. But you don't talk about after that things is gonna be more heavy, right? Heavy, yeah. I'm sorry, I told you maybe heavily. I wanted it to say heavy. Because of this, not everyone in Japan is used to very direct emotional compositions. I do not mean that Japanese people cannot talk. Of course they can talk. But I think many people are not used to building a relationship by saying their feelings very directly or clearly again and again. Most people have don't have the experience, and they don't are told how to do that by anyone. In some cultures, saying exactly what you feel may be considered healthy communication. I think so too. But in Japan, some people may feel that this is too direct, too strong, or too confrontational. So instead, they may use softer expressions. They may wait, they may become quiet, they may show their feelings indirectly, and the other person is expected to know this. This can sometimes feel gentle and considerate. It can avoid unnecessary conflict, but it can also make dating difficult. If both people are waiting for the other person to understand without saying anything, small problems can slowly become bigger. It happens a lot. Even after marriage, I heard a lot of cases about this. By the way, personally, I am a little different from this image. I tend to express my feelings quite directly. If I do love someone, I want to show it. And if there is a problem in the relationship, I prefer to talk about it clearly. Of course, I do not kiss in public or show very strong physical affection in front of the other person in public. This part of me is probably quite Japanese. But when it comes to words and emotional compositions, I am quite direct. Maybe too direct sometimes. Because of this, people have sometimes told me, "You are not very Japanese. Where are you from?" And honestly, I understand what they mean. In Japan, someone like me may still be a minority. A person who says clearly, "I feel this way, I do not like this, I need this, I love you, let's talk about this to improve our relationship," may not fit the traditional image of Japanese communication. But at the same time, I feel that this is slowly changing. More people, especially women, are working, building careers, and gaining experience in society where they need to express opinions, negotiate, and communicate clearly. In the workplace, you may need to explain your ideas and listen to others' opinions. And sometimes you need to receive their feelings and give your feelings and build the, business, right? So I think some people are bringing that communication style into romantic relationships too. They may be more willing to say, "This is what I feel, this is what I need, this is not okay for me, what I want." Of course, this is just my opinion and my impression, 私の見解ですが、I do not have data for this, and it really depends on the person, but I feel that Japanese dating culture is not fixed. It is slowly changing with society. There are still many indirect communication styles. There is still a strong culture of reading the air. But I think more people are also learning the importance of talking directly especially in close relationships. Many times, again and again. And personally, I think that is a good thing. Because love is not only about understanding without words. Sometimes, love also means having the courage to say things clearly. Of course, with considerate and love and respect. Alright, number 8. Dating and marriage can still feel connected. I think it's natural for many countries. What are your countries? What about you? Another point is that dating and marriage can still feel connected in Japan. Today, many Japanese people date freely. Most people do not date only for marriage. There are cultural relationships, there are young couples, there are people who just want to enjoy dating, there are people who don't want marriage at all. So I do not want to say that every relationship in Japan is about marriage, of course. That would not be true. But especially after a certain age, dating somebody seriously can naturally lead to thinking about the future. This is also why meeting the parents can feel serious. It is also why some people may be careful before starting a relationship. They may ask themselves, can I imagine a future with this person? Can I introduce this person to my family someday? Can we build a stable life together? Do we have similar values? So Japanese dating can sometimes feel cautious, not because people do not want to romance, but because serious relationships often come with a sense of responsibility. This may also be connected to Japanese society in general. Marriage, family, work, money, and social expectations can feel very heavy. So some people may hesitate to start a relationship unless they feel ready. Others may enjoy dating but avoid thinking about marriage. And some people may move away from dating completely. This is a bigger topic, so I would like to talk about it in another video. But for today, I just want to say that in Japan, dating is often not only about romance. For many people, it can also be connected to responsibility, family, and the future. Alright, how was today's video? Did you enjoy this? And what did you feel? I want to know what is dating like in your country, so please let me know in the comments. I would be glad. Thank you so much for watching today as well. I hope to see you guys in the next video. お疲れ様でした。おやすみなさい。See you. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to HiromiVoice in English. Thank you so much for coming. I'm very glad to see you again. Today, I'd like to talk about a topic that many people are curious, especially when people learn about Japan or when people visit Japan. That's tattoos. In many countries, tattoos are very common, right? They can be fashion, art, self-expression, a memory of someone important, or a part of someone's identity. But in Japan, tattoos can still be sensitive, especially in places like onsen, public bath, swimming pools, or traditional hotels like ryokan. People with tattoos may sometimes be asked to cover them, or in some cases they are not be allowed to enter. So today I'd like to explain why tattoos are still sensitive in Japan. And I want to talk about this honestly because this is not only about onsen rules. It is also about history, social image, family values, generation gaps, and how people are seen in Japanese society. Of course, I'm not saying that tattoos are bad, and I'm not saying that people with tattoos are bad, not at all. But if you want to understand Japan more deeply, I think this topic is very important. First, I think we need to understand that tattoos have very different meanings depending on the country and culture. For example, in some countries, tattoos are just normal fashion. I think for many people outside Japan, tattoos are not scary at all. So when people visit Japan and here, you cannot enter this onsen because of your tattoos, they may feel confused, surprised, or even hurt. Have you ever experienced like that? They may think, why? It's just a tattoo. Why are Japanese people so strict? Are they judging me? And honestly, I understand that feeling. From a Western point of view, or from the point of view of countries where tattoos are common, Japan may look very strict or old-fashioned. But from the Japanese side, tattoos have had a very different image for a long time. Historically, tattoos in Japan were not always seen as fashion. There were times when tattoos were connected to punishment, social exclusion, or people outside ordinary society. And in more modern times, tattoos became strongly associated with organized crime groups, especially Yakuza. Of course, this does not mean that every person with a tattoo is dangerous. That is not true. Look, Japan's tattoo is more becoming popular, but still these images exist. Many people with tattoos are completely normal, kind, peaceful people, but the image remains. Especially for older generations in Japan, tattoos can still give a strong impression. When they see a tattoo, they may not immediately think, oh, beautiful art. They may think, is this person safe? Are they involved in something dangerous? Are they a person we can trust? Again, I am not saying this is fair. I am just explaining one honest reality of Japanese society. This is why onsen and public baths especially sensitive places. In Japan, onsen is not just a place to wash your body. It is a shared space. It is a quiet place. It is a place where people relax together. And because everyone is naked, tattoos cannot really be hidden. So, if someone has a large tattoo on their body, other guests may feel uncomfortable or intimidated. The facility may worry about complaints from other customers, so many onsen, public bath, gyms, maybe gyms or pools created the rules against visible tattoos. In many cases, it is not because the staff personality hates tattoos. It is more about avoiding trouble, protecting the atmosphere of the place, and making other guests feel safe. This is very Japan in a way. In Japan, public spaces often focus on harmony. People try not to make others uncomfortable. People try not to stand out too much. People try not to disturb the atmosphere. So even if a tattoo is meaningful and beautiful to the person who has it, other people in the same space may react differently. That is one of the difficult parts of this topic. But I think it is important to say this clearly. In Japan, this is not only about onsen. Tattoos can affect how people see you in many areas of life. For example, family, marriage, work, social trust, first impressions. If I had introduced someone with tattoos to my parents as my fiancé, I honestly do not think they would have looked very happy. It does not mean they would automatically hate that person. But especially for older generations in Japan, tattoos can still feel difficult to them. But especially for older generations in Japan, tattoos can still feel difficult to accept. They may feel worried, surprised. They may wonder what kind of life that person has lived. They may wonder whether this person is really suitable as a marriage partner. This may sound very judgmental from an overseas perspective. Do you think so? Maybe yes. But I think this is one of the honest realities of Japan, especially, again, for older generations. For many Japanese people, especially senior generations, tattoos are not just fashion. They can affect the image of a person's background, personality, lifestyle, and social reliability. Again, I am not saying that this is correct. I'm saying that this feeling still exists. And I also think the size and design of the tattoo matter a lot. For example, if someone has a very small tattoo, maybe on the wrist, ankle, or shoulder or neck. Some Japanese people may still be surprised, but they may not react too strongly, or some people react very naturally. Oh, that is good. Looks good, or good design. I like it. Something like that. But if someone has a very large tattoo on their body, the impression can be completely different. A large tattoo can feel very intense in Japan, especially if it covers back, chest, arms, or legs. Many Japanese people may feel intimidated. And to be honest, if I had met someone with a large tattoo on their body, I might not have been able to see that person as a marriage partner. I know this may sound strict, very strict. I don't want to estimate the person with just the tattoos, but this is real in Japan. It is not because I think that person is bad. It is because if we lived together in Japan, it could affect our daily life. For example, not only because my parents, because of the daily life in Japan. For example, we might not be able to go to some onsen together. If we had kids, we cannot go with them to pools together. We might need to check the rules before going to a hotel, a public bath, a pool, of course onsen. If my family saw the tattoo, they might feel uncomfortable or surprised. If we had children, I might worry about how other parents or older relatives would react. So for me, it would not only be about appearance. It would also be about lifestyle, family acceptance, and how we would live together in Japanese society. This is a very real feeling, and I think many Japanese people may feel something similar, even if they do not say it openly. I would say small tattoo is okay, but large tattoo is gonna be difficult to live together in Japanese society. There are many difficulties, yes, I would say. Also, the design matters. For example, a small flower, a word, a simple symbol may be accepted more easily. But a large dragon or tiger, a flowback tattoo, or a design that looks similar to a traditional Yakuza-style tattoos may create a much stronger reaction. Even if the person chooses the design simply because they like it, Japanese people may read it differently. The meaning of a tattoo is not only decided by the person who has it. It is also affected by how society sees it. And in Japan, society still has a strong memory connected to tattoos. That's why Japanese people looks like very strict to tattoos. But at the same time, Japan is changing. Younger generations are more used to seeing tattoos, especially through social media, music, fashion, sports, and international culture. Many Japanese people now understand that tattoos do not always mean something dangerous. Also, because more foreign tourists are visiting Japan, some onsen and hotels are becoming more flexible. Some places allow tattoos if you cover them with a sticker. Some places allow small tattoos. Some places have a private bath. Some places clearly say they are tattoo friendly. So the situation is not the same everywhere. Japan is not completely closed to tattoos. But it is also not completely open yet. I think Japan is somewhere in the middle. The younger generation is changing. Tourist areas are changing. Or like Tokyo, Kyoto are big cities. Some businesses are changing, but the older image still remains. Especially in traditional places, rural areas, public baths, and among senior generations, tattoos can still feel sensitive. So, if you're planning to visit Japan and you have tattoos, what should you do? First, please check the rules before you go, especially for onsen, sento, pools, and traditional ryokan. It is better to check in advance. Second, if your tattoo is small, you can ask if it is okay to cover it. You can say, I have a small tattoo. It is okay if I cover it? 私、小さいタトゥーが入ってるんですけど、カバーしたら温泉に入れますか？隠したらそちらの施設使えますか？ Third, you can look for tattoo-friendly onsen or hotels. These places are becoming easier to find. Fourth, private baths are a very good option. If you book a private bath or a room with private onsen, you can usually enjoy the experience comfortably. And finally, if a facility says no, please try not to take it as a personal rejection. Of course, it may feel disappointing. I'm sorry about that. But often, this is not about you as a person. It is about the facility's rules, the expectations of other customers, and the long history of how tattoos have been viewed in Japan. We would be glad if you have understanding for it. Alright, so how was it? How did you feel Japan's behavior about tattoos? Did you feel like, oh my god, it's too strict? Or you might think, okay, I understand because it's because of the history. I would be glad if you let me know your thoughts and your feelings of this video. I hope you enjoyed this moment. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again. お疲れ様でした。おやすみなさい。If someone in Japan earns 300,000 yen a month, do they receive 300,000 yen in their account? The answer is no. 300,000 yen is roughly $1850 US. We call it 30万円. 30万円 is roughly $1850 US. But after taxes and social insurance are deducted. The actual take-home pay may be around 240,000 yen, or roughly $1,500 US. What do you think? Your salary is 30만 yen, but after many insurances, taxes are deducted, your salary, actual salary is 240,000 yen. This difference between gross salary and take-home pay is very important when we talk about salaries in Japan. Hello everyone, I'm Hiromi. Thank you so much for coming here. Today I am going to talk about salaries for company employees in Japan. From outside Japan, some people may have the image that Japan is a cheap country. Convenience store, food, restaurants, public transportation, and the quality of service can feel surprisingly affordable, right? Some people may think, how can this quality be so cheap? But for people living in Japan, the feeling can be a little different. That is because not only prices, but also salaries in Japan are not very high compared with many other developed countries. Today, I will not only talk about how much Japanese people earn, I will also explain how salaries are paid in Japan, what is deducted from them, and how the actual take-home pay is decided. I will also show rough US dollar amount. But please remember, exchange rates changes all the time. So please think of the dollar amounts as only a rough guide. I will try to explain everything as clearly as possible. Here we go. First, let's talk about the average salary in Japan. Can you guess how much it is? According to statistics from Japan's National Tax Agency, the average annual salary for salary earners who worked throughout the year in 2024 was about 4.78 million yen. 4.78 million yen. That is roughly 30,000 US dollars. Okay, Japanese average salaries 4.78 million yen, which is roughly 30,000 US dollars. However, this number can be a little misleading if we look at it alone. This average includes many different people. I mean, full-time employees, non-regular employees, young people, older people, men, women, people working in big cities, and people working in rural areas. For example, in the same statistics, the average salary for full-time employees was about 5.5 5 million yen. That is roughly 34,000 US dollars. On the other hand, the average salary for non-regular employees, such as part-time workers and temporary workers, was about 2.6 million yen. That is roughly 13,000 US dollars. This is a big difference. So when we say the average salary in Japan is 4.78 million yen, it does not mean that everyone earns that amount. When we look at salaries in Japan, we need to look not only at the average number. We also need to think about employment status, age, gender, company size, and type of job. Next, let's talk about some characteristics of Japanese salaries. In Japan, salary is often connected to age and years of service. Of course, this is slowly changing. More companies are starting to value skills and performance. But in many traditional Japanese companies, young workers usually start with lower salaries. Then, as they get older and work longer at the same company, their salary goes up. This is called Nenko Joretsu in Japanese. In English, it is close to a seniority-based system. In other words, in Japan, salary is not always decided only by current performance. Age, years of service, company size, and job title can also have a big effect on salary. Especially in large companies, people who work there for a long time may not earn a lot when they are young, but their salary may increase as they get older. On the other hand, in small and medium-sized companies or in non-regular employment, salary may not increase very much even as people get older. Another feature of Japan may be that many companies are still not clearly performance-based. Also, directly telling your boss about your achievements and negotiating your salary is not very common in Japan. Of course, there are performance-based companies, and some people do negotiate properly. But from my personal point of view, I don't think it's the majority yet. Next, let's talk about how salaries are paid in Japan. Company employees in Japan usually receive their salary once a month. In most cases, the money is transferred directly to their bank account. For example, many companies pay salaries on the 25th of each month or at the end of the month. Also, many companies in Japan pay bonuses. Bonuses are often paid twice a year, in summer and winter. However, not all companies have bonuses, and the amount of bonus is very different depending on the company. Here, one important point is that annual salary and a monthly salary are not the same thing. Do you notice that? For example, if someone's annual salary is 4.78 million yen, you may divide it by 12 and think they receive about 400,000 yen every month. 400,000 yen is roughly $2,500 US. But in reality, that is not always true. This is because the annual salary often includes bonuses. For example, someone may receive about 300,000 yen every month, or roughly $1,850 US, and then receive bonuses in summer and winter. Together, their annual salary may become over 4 million yen. So, when we look at the salaries in Japan, we need to look not only at annual salary. We also need to understand the relationship between monthly salary and bonuses. Next, let's talk about the difference between gross salary and take-home pay. In Japan, the salary written in a job contract is often called gakumen. This means the salary before taxes and social insurance are deducted. But the amount actually transferred to your bank account is smaller than this gross salary. The money you actually receive is called tedori or take-home pay. We call it tedori in Japan. So, there are two ways to look at salary. One is the amount before deductions. The other is the amount that actually comes into your bank account after taxes and social insurance are deducted. There are several things that are usually deducted from a company employee's salary in Japan. Health insurance. This helps reduce medical costs and when you go to the hospital or clinic. 2. Employees' pension insurance. This is for your future pension. 3. Employment insurance. This is related to support when someone loses their job. Income tax. This is a national tax on income. Next, residence tax. This is a local tax paid to the area where you live. In this way, many things are automatically deducted from salary. So, for example, even if your gross monthly salary is 300,000 yen or roughly $1,850 US, you don't receive all of that in your bank account. The actual take-home pay depends on many things. For example, where you live, your age, whether you have dependents, or whether residence tax is already being deducted, something like that. But as a rough image, if your gross salary is 300,000 yen, your take-home pay is often around the high 230,000 yen, range to around 240,000 yen, which is roughly $1,450 US to $1,500 US. This is a very important point for people working in Japan. Many people are surprised or disappointed by the difference between gross salary and take-home pay. You can often see people talking about this on social media. But actually, even Japanese people themselves may not clearly understand what is being deducted every month and why. One reason for this is the tax system for company employees in Japan. One reason for this is the tax system for company employees in Japan. In Japan, many company employees do not file. In Japan, many company employees do not file their own tax returns. A tax return means that you calculate your own income and taxes, and report them to the tax office. Self-employed people and freelancers usually have to file their own tax returns. I became self-employed in 2019, so I have been filing on my tax returns for about 7 years. But before that, I was a company employee, so at first I was confused because I didn't know how to do it. On the other hand, for company employees, the company deducts taxes and social insurance from their salary every month. Then, at the end of the year, the company does a process called year-end adjustment. Though this year-end adjustment, the income tax calculation is completed for many company employees. So, unless they have a side job, a very high income, medical expense deductions, or other social situations, ordinary company employees often do not file their own tax returns. This system is very convenient because the company handles the process. People can work as employees without knowing the details of tax calculation. On the other hand, this also means that people may not be very cautious of how much tax and social insurance they are paying every month. When salary comes into the bank account, taxes and insurance have already been deducted. So the feeling of I am paying taxes myself can become weaker. I think this is one important feature of Japanese company employee culture. The company protects employees in some ways. The company also handles many procedures for them. But because of that, the flow of money can become harder to see. So when we try to understand the salaries in Japan, looking only at the average annual salary is not enough. This is important to understand how the salary is paid. Is it a monthly salary? Does it include bonuses? How much is deducted for taxes and social insurance? And how much money actually remains in your hand? When we look at these points, we can understand the reality of Japanese salaries a little more clearly. Okay, so conclusion. Japanese salaries cannot be explained only by saying they are high or low. Behind them there is a Japanese company system, work culture, taxes and social insurance. Today, I talked about the basic system of salaries in Japan, and in the next video, I will talk about the prices and the cost of living in Japan. If you understand both take-home pay and prices, I think you can imagine real life in Japan very much clearly. I hope you will look forward to it. And I hope this video helps you understand a little more about real life in Japan. In your country, how many times a month do people receive their salary? Twice? Once? And do you file your own tax return by yourself? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching today. I will see you again. お疲れ様でした。In Japan, salary が言いにくいな。statistics 。Statistics. According to statistics from Japan's National Tax Agency, let's talk about some characteristics.